Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this new talk at this amazing event, the Odoo Experience. Apparently, I cannot move very much. I'm limited here. My name is Andres Garcia. I'm a tech lead working at Cubic, one of the leading partners in Europe. And today, I'm going to show you how we implemented Odoo in one of the very few unicorn startups in Spain. It's called Glovo. You may have heard of this new online business trend called Quickcommerce. So companies in this space usually are centered around what's called consumer staples. So that's food, beverages, alcohol, tobacco, these kind of things. And they promise to deliver their products in between 10 to 30 minutes. So that's super fast. In this context, we find Glovo. Glovo is a Spanish startup founded in 2015 in the beautiful city of Barcelona. What they offer is an on-demand courier service for local restaurants and supermarkets. In 2018, they added a new business line to their business model. That's what they call the groceries business. Here you can see how it looks like in the Android app. What it consists on is on having their own supermarket and sell the products on their own delivery app. This way, they get to earn, obviously, from the products and as well as from the delivery itself. Just for you to take a look at how it looks like, you can see on the left that you have several bubbles when you enter in the Glovo app. If you click in the supermarket one, you have a list of local supermarkets that are close enough from you so that they deliver to you. Coincidentally, the first one is Global Market. That's not a coincidence at all. And if you go inside, you have several products of families, and you can order, and they deliver to you in 10 minutes. So what they do is that they set up multiple warehouses around the city center. These warehouses look just like a supermarket, really, inside, except that people cannot really enter and shop, but they are just a warehouse. They are open 24/7, and they only deliver to their surroundings, so to their neighbor. This is delightful for the most exigent customers because, really, they can order whatever they want, whenever they want. Even if you run out of alcohol at 5 a.m. in Barcelona, you can just order from Glovo. So having said that, here is where a real story begins. Let's move mentally, hopefully only mentally, just for a minute back to 2020, to the year 2020. We had the COVID-19 pandemic hitting, and millions of people had to be locked down at home, and every non-essential business had to close down. Obviously, this was really negative for them, and many had to close forever, actually. But that was not the case for Glovo. Glovo experienced an exponential growth, really a hyper growth on their groceries business, and their orders were multiplied. This quickly justified the creation of new MFCs, that's the name they have for their warehouses, in Barcelona, which was the initial city, but also in other cities of Spain, and even in new countries around Europe, like Italy or Portugal. This was not all perfect, though. They quickly started having some bottlenecks in their business. Things like the slowness of the app they had internally to process the orders, some manual processes they had to do, which were becoming too time-wasting, and more things that we will see now, started limiting their growth. So these are the key metrics that they have to measure their success, to go a little bit deeper in that. First one is the order preparation time. So their objective is to deliver at least 90% of the orders in less than 10 minutes. This means that they have less than 2 minutes to actually prepare them in the warehouses. The rest of the time is just for the courier to arrive to your place. Second one is the P&A ratio. So a P&A event for Glovo is every time you order from Glovo something and you don't get it home, that's a P&A for them. And you might wonder, well, how can we actually avoid that? Well, we cannot completely avoid it, but we can limit it. And they have two main strategies to do that. The first one is to actually try to predict how much demand they are going to have. And for that, they have a machine learning model, which we're going to talk about later, and which, based on past sales, predicts the future sales, and therefore they try to purchase enough units from the vendors to avoid this happening. Anyway, sometimes it will happen, and the second strategy they have to avoid it is to just deactivate the product that has just run out of stock in the app with a live integration. This integration was not working so well at the beginning, and this was one of the reasons why this KPI was not doing so well. Ultimately, this limited the turnover of the business, which is obviously the ultimate goal of every business. That's the moment they met Cubic. So they started searching. They had the intuition that what the problem was, more or less, about their internal tools and so. Then they discovered Odoo, and then they saw that us, Cubic, were just 10 minutes away by foot in Barcelona, actually, from their business. So after several talks, it became clear that we were a good match, and Cubic accepts the mission to replace certain legacy systems in Glovo, increasing the efficiency and streamlining some processes. First thing that we did was a gap analysis. So in this gap analysis, the first thing that we found out is that the internal architecture of the internal tools inside Glovo was a little bit of a mess. On one corner, we can find the inventory and catalog app. On the other side, there was the accounting. In the middle, there's the purchase. And in the corner, all along, there is the human resources app. So we found out two problems here. The first one is that each of the individual tools was not incredibly mature. And secondly, that the integration between them were not very fine-tuned. So, and don't get me wrong here, because I do think that microservices are something to take into account in big businesses, like that's the case of Glovo. But in this case, it was becoming just too much and too much. The complexity was going through the roof, and it was too difficult to manage. So we proposed a new architecture. And this is how it looks like, pretty much. On the left, we have the customer-facing app, which was great, and we didn't want to replace or anything, which is connected to a backend. And this backend is connected directly to the Odoo that we would develop. Using this Odoo, they would do all the purchase operations and all the warehouse operations as well, so like processing the orders, basically, inside the warehouses, as well as some basic human resources tasks, such like attendances. We also installed the invoicing app because even though we were not going to do accounting inside Odoo, that's on the right side, as you can see, we did generate some invoices and send them to this accounting external application. Since this external application was connected to many other things, we decided to keep it like that. One design decision that we took from the beginning was to separate and do a different Odoo instance per country. So that's a decision we took to not put all of our eggs in the same basket, right? In case something goes wrong with the deployments and many things, right? We had a deadline in between 4 to 5 months, so that was quite a challenge. Let me give you some more details about the implementation itself. First thing I'm going to talk to you about is the replenishment tool, which is really just another name for the purchase app inside Glovo. This is the legacy replenishment tool that they had. It was based on just Google Spreadsheet. And apparently, Google lets you add some scripts to the Google Spreadsheet. So it had some advanced features to be an Excel, such as it was connecting to an external, to another system, which was a machine learning model they had, which tried to predict future sales based on past sales. And based on this data, the CSV would generate a suggested PO, a suggested purchase order, to purchase from the vendor. Obviously, this was not scaling, as you can imagine. They had to duplicate the CSV for every store they had, which initially were not so many, but they plan to have a lot in the future. And also required a lot of manual input, such as they needed to keep the vendor conditions database right in the CSV itself. So it's more error prone because you cannot have validations inside the CSV as in an actual ERP, right? So that's what we proposed. We proposed moving this machine learning model inside Odoo itself as an Odoo module. It was just, in reality, it was just a Python script, so we could perfectly put it inside. And we added this button at the top called Get Suggested PO, which would do the same operation. Would just take the livestock from Odoo, check for the past sales, and generate a PO. We came to a point in which the user would have calendar events in the Odoo calendar, telling him what is the deadline in which you need to send the PO to the vendor. So for example, here I can see that I need to send my order to Bimbo from Spain, the bread company. So I need to send the PO to Bimbo before 4 p.m. so that I actually meet the expected demand. This is based on the vendor lead time, right? So I need to order with enough advance so that I can get the products on time to sell them. Let's take a quick look with the video I prepared for you. Once we know the PO that we need to create, we just go to the purchase application, click on create, and we select the vendor we want to order from. Then we just make sure that we are in the correct warehouse, which is automatically selected based on the user on a custom configuration we made. And we click on Get Suggested PO, and boom, we have a PO, a suggested PO, ready to be sent. Of course, we can still make some adjustments. If I think that I cannot handle so many products, I don't have enough space, for example, in my dark store, that's something that happened sometimes. It didn't take into account the capacity of the shelves, as in the first version. Once I've done all my adjustments, I can just confirm and send the PO by email, which just had a little interesting extra stuff, which is based on the configuration, we would send a PDF or an Excel, which is sometimes more useful for vendors to process the POs. And that's pretty much it. Now, let's go to the second part, the inventory management. This is the most interesting part. So this is the legacy tool that they had. As you can see, it was not really pretty, let's say. To be more precise, it had a pretty bad UI, UX, user experience. So we saw that the users using this app said that it was really slow, that it was not responding, that it was not understandable. Some integrations related to this app were not working so well. So like I said before, we have an integration to deactivate the products on the customer-facing app, which was connected initially to this one. And since this was not working so well, and the app was not really usable, etc., they had huge stock mismatches, so mismatch between the reality and what appeared in the app. And this affected the KPIs that we said before. So funnily enough, the users in the warehouse were just plainly avoiding to use the app as much as they could, which was something to take into account in the implementation. So what did we propose? We proposed using Odoo together with these Zebra devices. This one you can see here, the TC21. I know it by heart for looking at it, for searching for it. And with this device, what you do is you install the Odoo Android app on it, and you can use the Barcode Enterprise app, with which you can process orders. You can also do the inbounds to receive the products from the vendors. You can do inventory adjustments if you feel like the stock is not matching. And something important here is the scrapping operations, because at the beginning they were not doing them well, and this was one of the causes also that contributed to the problem with the mismatch of the stock. So every time you have, for example, bananas and they are rotten, you reflect in the system that these products were not sold, that they are out of stock, but because of this reason, not because of scrapping products. So there are two key processes here. One is the inbound, another one is the outbound. Let's start with the first one. In the inbound, you have mainly two steps. Once you receive the order from the vendor, you have a document in Odoo, which is called Inbound itself, which is to count how many products and which products you received and compare it to what you ordered originally from the vendor. And the second step is the internal transfer. Odoo, based on something called put-away rules, would tell you where you should put the products in your warehouse. So let's see a video about it. Here, I'm just selecting an inbound I have pending to receive. And as you can see, the operator is adding a reference number that comes in a sheet of paper from the vendor. Then what he's going to do is just start scanning every product. And, well, as you can see, Odoo will scroll through the UI to the product that I'm scanning every time so that I know where I am at each step. Of course, I know how many units I'm supposed to receive, because as you can see, I'm scanning 11 out of 12, etc. And, well, this is the first document that I just told you about. We are almost finishing the first one. Once I do that, I click on Validate. In this case, create back order, because we didn't include all the products. And now I'm going to go to the internal transfer, the second step that we just talked about. In this step, the main difference, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, you see 1 out of 2 locations. This means that there are kind of 2 pages. So the first page is a location, and the second page is this second location we need to go to. In the first location, we know that we need to put all these products, and in the second location, we'll put the rest. When we click on Next at the bottom, as you can see, it's siguiente in Spanish. So, yeah, we can see William processing all the products. That's the second step. And we are almost finishing there. Yeah, we click on Validate, and we are done. Apply all, and that's all. Great. Let's go to the outbound. So the outbound is divided in 3 steps in our case. The first one is the picking. Once you receive an order from the customer app, which is an automation, you pick the products from the shelves in this first document. Odoo automatically organizes these products by location. So same as in the second step of the inbound, you are told where you need to go at every step of the way. The second step, the second document that you need to process is the packing. So this just represents the operation of putting the products in bags, and printing a ticket based on the invoice from Odoo. The third document, which is called shipping or delivery order, usually, just represents the moment the courier takes the order from the store. Let's see a video about it as well. So we just received an order. You can see that we are already running through the warehouse. This needs to be done really quickly. We just click on Start, and we start scanning the products that we need to. So as you can see at the bottom right again, we have 5 locations in this case. And yeah, we click on Next, so we only have this product to take from this second location. We took the wrong one, so we get an alert saying so. And then we get the correct one. OK, perfect. So we just take 4 of them. And we click on Next to go to the third location. We take the holes now. We click on Next. Now we are going to take some cookies. That's a real strange order that they did. We click on Next again, and we are in the last location. We're going to take some Edo confiture. So we click on Validate, and we get a message because we didn't take a single unit of a product. We missed one, so we're going to scan it, and we validate again. Now it goes through, and we are automatically redirected to the packing operation. We didn't go back to the Kanban view. That's a customization, but basically we were just redirected. In this step, the operator is going to put the products in the bags, print some bag labels, which are used to identify which bags go to which order, and he's going to print the ticket as well, as you can see. based on the invoice in Odoo, and that's how it finishes. He just hands it over to the courier, and when the courier marks the order as picked up in his app, there is also an integration to validate the third document that I just explained to you on Odoo. So lastly, let me explain you how we did the actual go live and the rollout of this software. So more important than the change itself, because there was a huge change for Glovo, obviously, I believe it's more important the way we manage it. So here is the plan that we did. First, we have the phase 0, that's the gap analysis that we just talked about. Then we would do a pilot phase, which was in a single MFC in Barcelona. Once this is done, we would take some time as an adjustment period. So maybe we need to correct some bugs or we need to fix some things. We realized that we had extra needs compared to what we initially thought. And lastly, we go all in. We start, once this is done, we just go and roll out to more stores in Barcelona, then in other cities, and then in the rest of the countries. Then, after several complex integrations, 4 months of hard team work, you just saw them. They are great, and this wouldn't have been possible without them. And several challenging bugs, we finally rolled out in Barcelona. You can see our happy faces even under the face mask. And well, these are some words from the people involved. So like a picker, that's how they call the operator in the warehouse, thought that the app was looking so much better than the previous one. Well, I think this is interesting because this speaks for the usability of Odoo as well. That's the translation I do for that. Then Olivier, which was our product manager, also thought that we had better control over the preparation and better scalability with this platform. And even I included a comment from a store manager from this initial store in Barcelona. He was from Sevilla, so he was same as me, so I remember that we were friends there. And he told me that the sales report in Odoo actually was kind of better than other internal BI tools that they had. So that's interesting because he figured this out on his own and he started using it. Today, this software is being used in 14 countries, more than 90 MFCs, and aggregated, processes more than 400,000 exactly, orders per month. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andres, for this presentation. Do you guys have any question? We have time only for one question. I'm sorry. Well,
I wanted to ask how much of the barcode you showed in the video is customization?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. Maybe if I put back the video, I can tell you better. So for just starting from the beginning, the first screen of the barcode is not this. It's like some boxes with the type of operations. In our case, we just changed that for a column-based view, so like the project, tasks view, and so. Then in this view, we have a complete refactoring of the view. I mean, if you compare it to the enterprise app, it doesn't look exactly like that. It gives you some instructions at the top. It looks more dark and so. So we had someone at Glovo, expert in UI and so, and with his help, we did this refactoring of the UI. Anyway, the building blocks are the same, but some things like the quantities and especially the top of the app is different. Things like the redirection from the picking to the packing is also custom. Because otherwise, when you click validate, you go back to the normal Kanban view. Otherwise, and this message here is also custom, which is telling you which products you are missing, etc. Instead of just normally Odoo would just tell you, okay, that's fine. I couldn't reserve more products, and it lets you go through. But in this case, it was very important that they make sure that they processed everything. Yeah, I think that's the most. Well, in the packing, we have these two buttons to print back labels and to print the ticket, which were not there by default. They are connected with the IoT app, which you might know about, and I think that's the most important customizations we have.
Thank you very, very much, Andres.
Thanks to
I
you.
wish you a very good evening with us.
Same. Let's see each other in the bar.